Hello and welcome back to the Only Fools Love Horses YouTube channel, and it's a big week for horse racing. The Dublin Racing Festival is back. Last year was a huge success. Facile, Vega, Sir Gerhard, all Cheltenham Festival winners, and we got some fantastic horses out this weekend. A lot of short price horses, so potentially a few more ACCAs like there was last year. We've got our usual guest, bar one. Unfortunately, Lee is at the football watching Newcastle make it through to the final of the Carabao Cup. So we're just me and Harry. Harry, Dublin Racing Festival. It's going to be a fantastic weekend, and I'm going to be there. What more could you ask for if you're an Irish racing fan?
Oh, exactly, Ash. You summed it spot on. I have seen the shores for you. I was there last weekend. I made sure that they were aware of your presence for when you turn up to Dublin Airport on Friday or Saturday, whenever you are going. Is it Saturday that you're going?
Saturday at 7 a.m. I'm landing.
So nice and early. Get the early bird catches the worm, and also the ACCA that will be going at the first. So the early bird catches the worm. Fingers crossed.
I'll probably be somewhere, probably a Ladbrokes somewhere in Dublin. About 9 a.m. I'll probably be having a nap somewhere. I'll be up at probably 3 a.m. on Saturday, so that's going to be fun for me. As I said, it's just us two today. Lee will post any selection he has on the weekend, but it's just us two for the Dublin Racing Festival. It's going to be a cracking weekend. I am going, so make sure to go say hi if you see me in there. And I can't wait to get started for the Dublin Racing Festival. We're going to be covering all the graded races, so the Grade 1 events and the Grade 2 bumpers on each day of the Dublin Racing Festival. And just to help for you handicap followers, I've got a few handicap bets on the Saturday as well for Sandown. So make sure to stick around for that. And finally, we hit 100 likes on our anti-post video recently, episode 4. So thank you very much for that one. That was very much well done everyone. Thank you very much. Make sure to like and subscribe on this video and keep the views coming in. It all works out. If you don't already subscribe, please do. We'll move on to the first race, Harry, the Grade 1 Nathaniel Lacy Novices Hurdle. I can't wait for this race because it's good land for the good people topping the market. 9-4 for Barry Connell up at the top of the market there. Sandor Clegane is the next price there, 9-2. I'm not sure how Andrew Blair White's going to choose a horse there with both two of his horses that he likes. American Mike 5s, Grange Clare West at 5s as well. We've all been caught. I want to say the only Irish runner, or English runner, or maybe one of two English runners. We'll see for the weekend at 6-1 there for Nigel Twiston-Davies. You can have what you like about the rest. Harry, I'm going to bring you back in the first Grade 1 race of the weekend. I can't wait for it. What are you looking at this early stage?
Well, firstly, I just want to say, Nigel Twiston-Davies, good on you. Good on you for sending one of your horses over. And we've all been caught. He's clearly a very talented horse. He was last seen winning his maiden hurdle at Cheltenham. He beat Rock My Way. We've seen, for those who went to the trials day, we've seen what that horse has came out and done. Now, he's recorded some really nice RPRs, 133 and 136. There's nothing to suggest he won't be on the improve. And we'll definitely know the standard of the British, like the likes of Hermes Allen, who he was beaten by. We'll definitely know the standard compared to the Irish and the English on Saturday during about 1:30. Now, we don't want to see, if you are fans of Hermes Allen, you wouldn't want to see We've All Been Caught finish out the back of the TV screen, beaten absolutely fair and square. Now, I don't think he will. The interesting one for me is American Mike, whether he can bounce back to his old sort of form. I think he will do. I don't know whether he'll win. It's definitely not a punting race in this for me because there's so many unknowns. Good land for Barry Connell, has done absolutely nothing wrong. Sandor Clegane, I should say. Paul Nolan won this race with latest exhibition, who did then go on to win, nearly won the Albert Bartlett when he was pipped by Monkfish in that absolute thriller. There was 4 in it, wasn't there? So listen, it's a tried and tested route. I think Sandor Clegane at 9-2. If he went to 5-1, I think it'd be an each way back to nothing. Don't think he'll be out the top 3. But I'm sticking with the British. We've all been caught. If you push me at this minute, I think he's a proper tool. And I think Nigel Twiston-Davies, he's still in good nick. So for me, stick with the British. We'll definitely know where we stand after 1:30 on Saturday. So fingers crossed, We've All Been Caught gets the job done.
Nigel Twiston-Davies, 5 winners from the last 32 runners, and he's got good form in there. Obviously, beat Rock My Way the last day. He's gone out and won at Cheltenham Trials Day in the Grade 2 that day. So you have to really like the form there, 6-1, and going over some nice prize money as well, 88,000 euros to
Good
the
on
winner,
him.
28,000. So yeah, really, really well done to the whole team at Nigel Twiston-Davies's, and fingers crossed, maybe even Sam Twiston-Davies might go for the ride. You don't know what he's booked up for yet. For me, I think Good Land will take all the beating here. Look, he's priced accordingly. I'm not going to be showing you new news with this horse, but it is for the good people. I think that he's going to go really well here. The Step Up and Trip is going to be right up his street. I think he had plenty of gears the last day, and as you can tell by connections, they are going to go to the Ballymore rather than the Bartlett. It seems, unless they supplement him for the Bartlett. But I would definitely, I couldn't see that happening in my opinion for Barry Connell's yard. So it looks like he's Ballymore bound. 2 miles 6. I thought he was a Bartlett horse, so this Step Up and Trip must be right up his street. And 2-1, I think is fair. The only other interested one in this race for me personally, Absolute Notions, was third. Nace the last day to In the Pocket, JP McManus horse. And it'll be first try at 3 miles, 2 miles 6 as well. So stepping up from 2.5 miles the last day at Nace. But he won his maiden hurdle really well. And it was a hotly contested maiden hurdle, 22 runners in it. And he's beaten Deep Cave by 3 lengths. In his bumper, he was a 6-length winner at Punchestown as well against Miss Augusta. So I think he's quite interesting for the Gordon Elliott yard. And at 10-1, he could be one to keep on the short list. But for me, Good Land is the one to be keeping on side for on at 2-1. And there could be a few ACCAs starting on at this time, Harry, as we did last year.
Just a quick one as well. In this race, Willie Mullins, and I read something, I don't know whether you read it or sent it me earlier on. I think out of 66 runners in the graded races, Willie's got 33 of them. So, and funnily enough, he's only got 2 actually entered in this. Grange Clare West, who was disappointed, I won't be able to trust him again. But Keda Parry, now I mentioned this horse on last week's episode. He's currently 12-1. He could be overpriced. He's only a 5-year-old, so I don't know what you think of him.
No, I haven't really looked too much into the form, but he's won a maiden hurdle on heavy at Tremor on New Year's Day, so you can't really be dissing him too much. That was obviously 34 days ago. If it's to run on Saturday, it's bought for 180,000 euros, so they must think a fair amount of him now, and it'd be interesting to see how he goes because he is an interesting runner in what looks like an open Albert Bartlett currently. But I personally can't wait for Nathaniel Lacy. I'm really excited, and I'd be even more excited if Good Land was still in the Bartlett. But I'm going to stop talking about it now. I've complained enough. We'll move on to the next race we're going to be covering, the Grade 1 Spring Juvenile Hurdle, the 155 on the Saturday of the Dublin Racing Festival. And Lossiemouth tops the market, 4-7 there for Willie Mullins. And it's a stablemate in behind, Blood Destiny 9-4. Gala Makaru. Oh no, I've murdered that, haven't I, Harry?
That's what I like.
We're 2 different opinions there. I haven't watched any of the races for this horse, so I haven't even listened to the commentary. So there you go, 6-1 for Mullins again. Gust of Wind, Mullins again, 14-1, and Mullins again with Tekau. So it's top 5 in the market going to Willie Mullins, 14-1 for Tekau there, ascending Henry de Bromhead 25s, and you can have what you like about the rest. Harry, Lossiemouth is obviously here up against a very impressive Blood Destiny, who won at Fairy House the last day. Can you see Blood Destiny taking on Lossiemouth here for a potential victory and to build onto the triumph? Obviously, Lossiemouth gets weight from Blood Destiny being a filly up against a gelding, but Lossiemouth is 4-7 at the top of the market.
Well, listen, if your ACCA goes down at the first year, I think you're in with a good one here. Lossiemouth at 4-7. I think she will be very, very tough to beat. Now, listen, she doesn't have to make all. I think Blood Destiny will be the one who goes out. He did that last time. He was very impressive when he did it last time. But Lossiemouth, with the weight allowance, she looks the best juvenile we've seen this year from either side of the RHC. I can't see her being beat now, but she's 7-4 on. So boring, I know. But if your ACCA goes down at the first, well, you can pretty much count on Lossiemouth. And I think Willie's got 7 in there. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, he's got 7 in there. 7, maybe 8. It's just ridiculous. Anyone, if he won on anyone, he won't be bothered. But I think he'd be very disappointed if Lossiemouth was to be beaten here because she looks like a good thing for the triumph in March. And if she can't win this, then well, she might struggle in the festival. But she should dot up here.
4 to 7, Harry. Would you be interested by that price at all? That looks like it obviously opened 2 to 5, went as short as 4 to 9, and now 4 to 7. Would you be interested by that?
Yeah, I would. To be fair, I think 7 to 4 on is probably a little bit generous because she dominated the division, hasn't she? I mean, people say it's skinny, but what beats her? I mean, there's no point backing a 9 to 4 loser in Blood Destiny when you could get a full. Listen, it's silly. You're punting with your head, aren't you? But you want to punt sensibly. If Lossy Mouth's your more likely winner, go in at 4 to 7 because she's not. I don't think she'll be beat. And from what the others have shown, Blood Destiny is the only one to really look like he could get close to her. But I don't think he will. And listen, Paul Townend, he'll kind of know anyway. It's a big thing, isn't it? If he's jocked up on Lossy Mouth, how can you then justify going against her? Because she's clearly, if there's any doubt in Paul's mind, he'd be on the other one.
Yeah, I think Paul Townend's choice here will be very interesting. Gala Marçal, Harry. I've just listened to some commentary in the background.
I was close.
Yeah, you were very close there. Look, I think obviously Blood Destiny very interesting. Beat Common Practice the last day, who is a horse I think could be interesting for the Boodles, but you do have to take that form with a pinch of salt. Like as I've already mentioned, Common Practice looks like a Boodles route, so it does for Nusret in third. Like this horse, hasn't been beating sort of potential Triumph Hurdle contenders. You look to Lossy Mouth, beat Zarat the Brave on UK debut, who is a very nice horse. Willie Mullins had colic surgery, so waiting to see back what the results are with him. Comfort Zone was in third. That horse has gone on and won at Chepstow and at Cheltenham, so the form has worked out really well from that race. And those are Comfort Zone, is a Triumph Hurdle horse. I think Lossy Mouth really is. Like I'm not beating around the bush here. I'm not telling you anything new again with the first race, but Lossy Mouth will take the beating. I'm not trying to be a shrewd here, but it is probably Lossy Mouth's, and I'll keep this conversation quite short because I don't think there'll be too much else that I can see anyway that will get into the race. It'd be interesting to see how Tekal goes. Obviously got a mark of 1-2-1. Be interested to see what mark they can get after the race. If it runs a good race, the handicapper might chuck him up a couple of pounds, and then probably high enough to get into a Boodles, because 1-2-1 is sort of verging on the fringes of getting into a Boodles now. So I'm sure Mullins will be looking for a nice run. So if you're looking for maybe each way money, I suppose Tekal potentially, but that's more sort of like basing it off where they could go afterwards, which is not foolproof. That's just for sure. The Grade 1 Irish Arkle Novice Chase is next, Harry. 2:30 on Saturday. 8 are in it currently at the 5-day stage. So if you are having an each way fancy at an ante-post stage, you'll be getting the 3 places. Appreciate it 7-4 at the 5-day forfeit stage. As I mentioned here, we're recording on Monday evening. Appreciate it is only in this race and not in the further Novice Chase afterwards. Dysart Dynamo for Willie Mullins as well, 2-1. Interesting there. I'm sure me and Harry have very similar opinions on this horse. Banbridge 9-2, Joseph O'Brien. Be interested to see what the ground turns up at Leopardstown on the weekend. It looks like it could be fairly tropical for Ireland around this time of year. Yeah, exactly. And that will play into Banbridge's hands perfectly because they will be searching for the better ground this horse. They've stated that throughout the whole season. So Banbridge will definitely, should be getting his ground anyway, bar any heavenly miracles. El Fabiolo 5-1 there as well. Bit of drift on Willie Mullins' other runner there. Sanois 7-1, Fildor 12s, Flame Bearer 14s, and Visionarian 25s for Peter Fahy completes the lineup. Harry, top of the market. It's very, very tight now between Appreciate It and Dysart Dynamo. We've spoken very highly about Dysart Dynamo for the Arkle at the Cheltenham Festival. Do you think Appreciate It here, turning up over the 2-mile 1 distance, is a credible threat to Dysart Dynamo, or do you think potentially the market's got them just a shade the wrong way around?
I think you'd probably be hard to swap them round on what Appreciate It has already achieved. He's already had 2 under his belt. Dysart Dynamo's had 1. Out the 2, who would you say has been more impressive? Even that's hard to tell because they've both had nothing races between the 3 that they've had. They've been schooling sessions, haven't they, really? We'll definitely know more. Your likely pace angle is going to be Dysart Dynamo. You wouldn't like to see Appreciate It far behind him. Whether he'd be able to line up with him is another thing, isn't it? Really, because I think Dysart Dynamo is an out-and-out 2-miler. We haven't really seen what he's got under the bonnet. Now he's won his maiden hurdles by an absolute streak. We didn't get to see what he had under the bonnet when he tipped up at the second last in the Supreme. and we didn't get to see him at Punchestown when he was basically finished tailed off. And we didn't get to see it on Chasing Davy because he's just schooled round and he absolutely dotted him. I did mention I was impressed with the timings. He was, this off the top of my head, you'd have to go back and watch the Arkle preview that we did.
Arkle preview video, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was quicker to the line or just a tiny bit slower than Blue Lord was that day from 2 out to the line, which was impressive. Now, you can take it with a pinch of salt because the timings in the races were a little bit different.
Yeah, overall times and everything, yeah.
Yeah, but, I mean, Darkside Dynamo, I really like this horse. I backed him at 12s before he went off for the Arkle. I hope he goes on and wins. Listen, if he goes in and wins here, and he wins easy, he would be a massive, massive threat to John Bon. Now, he would be like a proper threat because Appreciate It is not a mug behind. There were people going, after his Supreme win when he won by 20 lengths, he was rumoured to be the next best thing. Then he has that setback, came back for the champion hurdle. Chasing was always going to be his forte, I thought. He's a big brute of a horse, isn't he? I think he wants a trip. I do. I think he wants a trip. I think Darkside Dynamo is speedier than him. That might find Appreciate It out. So if you're looking 7-4 Appreciate It, 2-1 Dynamo, I'm going Darkside Dynamo, but I would not be going. This is not me telling you to go ploughing in because this is a tough race. Just watch it because you'll definitely know more after the race. I'd love to know what your thoughts are. I've got a question for you, Ash.
Yes.
Now, I know you're a big fan of Banbridge. 9-2, just Leopardstown's. It's kind of an extended running, isn't it? So would that be a little negative to you?
I'd say, if anything, probably it's a positive. You know, he's a Martin Pike winner over 2.5. He has that staying power. That's no issue for him at all. I'd say it's probably a positive. However, in this lineup, I think Banbridge might be a little bit 9-2 is a bit short for my liking. Like the bookies have squeezed him in to try and avoid that each way markets for him. And like I know he was really impressive at Cheltenham. I probably haven't seen a better jumper of a fence in person this season than I did at Banbridge at Cheltenham. I thought he was really good. I had a perfect position to see him jump the last, and he absolutely flew it. And I thought he was really good. However, Tommy's Oscar was second by 6 lengths. Sole Pretender was third. Pentland Hills was fourth. Is that form up to the sort of level as what these other?
If he's not beating Tommy's Oscar by distance. This,
and look, Tommy's Oscar's a lovely horse. He won on the weekend, if I remember correctly. I loosely remember watching it on the big screen at Cheltenham that he won at the weekend, and he's a really, really good horse. And I suppose if you're actually looking at it, he's probably got the best form over fences, compared to the rest of these, like Darkside Dynamo, Appreciate It, and El Fabiolo come into this having beat not much. I mean, Colonel Mustard was beaten by El Fabiolo, but it looks like they're going back for the Betfair hurdle with Colonel Mustard back over hurdles. So I'd say over fences, probably the best form. And like the third behind Mighty Potter, although it was 18 lengths behind, he was on his wrong ground completely, and Gaillard de Maynil was ahead of him. Adamantly Chosen was behind, as Ralph gives me the little bark to see there. But yeah, he's giving a little appreciation to the nod there on Banbridge. But I'd say I'd be happy to take him on in this market. And I wouldn't have a solid bet. What you mentioned there about the pace angle, I think that's really, really interesting in this race, because I've sort of just gone through and I've had a little look. Appreciate It likes to race prominently. In the champion hurdle, he tried to lead. In the Supreme, he was fairly prominent and then took late on. In his Grade 1 win at the Leopardstown, Leopardstown in 7th of February in the Chanel Farmer Novice Hurdle Grade 1. He beat Ballyadam when disputing the lead. Darkside Dynamo would like to go from the front as well, and so will find it somewhere else here. Banbridge might also like to go from the front. I think it's a really interesting pace angle here. It could set up for something coming off the pace. I mean, Sam War likes to drop back 7-1. Would you be taking him?
He won't be winning this. He wants to be
Well, I think it's interesting. Like when El Fabiolo took on John Bon, they held him up purposely to sort of try and take on John Bon, because John Bon just tries to try and stalk him and see what happens there. I think the pace angle will be really interesting here, because I wouldn't say it's 1,000,000 to see Appreciate It and Darkside Dynamo on the front end. Potentially Appreciate It sort of stalking Darkside Dynamo, but you wouldn't know. Potentially there could be like something like Flame Bearer going from the front, or Visionarian. But I think it's going to be a really interesting race. It wouldn't be a betting race for me. If I was siding with one, I think Darkside Dynamo is probably probably the more natural 2-miler. I think Appreciate It, like you said, wants that step up in trip. And maybe because he's got all that stamina, they'll go from the front of him and try and utilise his stamina. But yeah, I think Dysart Dynamo would just have the nod for me currently at 2-1 for the Irish Arkle. We'll flip over to the next race, the Grade 1 Irish Gold Cup. And it's the 3-miler, Paddy Power Irish Gold Cup. Galopin des Champs, 11-4 on top in the market for Willie Mullins. Statler from the same yard, 9-2. Kenboy from Close Sutton as well at 10s. Fury Road for Gordon Elliott, 14s. Any Second Now in there at 25s. The Big Dog, 33s. And Franco Deport completes the line at 40s. Harry, there's no Conflated, which would have been my nod in this race. Can you see Statler being a credible threat to Galopin des Champs, or do you think it's Galopin des Champs all the way, roll on the Cheltenham Festival?
No, I can. I can see Statler putting up a big fight here. I mean, I like the way he should have won at Tremor. He should have won. Simple as I think Paul Townend wouldn't have been the happiest man in the weighing room after getting beat on against Minalarindo. However, I think that he's a proper 3-miler. And Galopin des Champs, listen, he had a nice win at Punchestown in December, didn't he? But again, he kind of nothing he did to Aries. He brushed him apart. He didn't look his normal self that day in my eyes. But he's a proper 2-mile. It's a step up to 3 miles. He did it at Punchestown last year. He looked comfortable doing that. He should take all the beating. He's 4-11 on. Would I be going stuck in? Probably not. At that price, I'd probably play Statler to place. You'd probably get that price on that than you would Galopin des Champs to win outright. I think he'll put it up to the favourite, but it looks a 2-horse race in this. And if Galopin des Champs can't win this, well, you couldn't fancy him at Cheltenham, could you?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I'm going to keep this short because we spent plenty of time on the Irish Arkle. I think it's between the top two, very much between the top two, and I won't be backing Statler. I won't be backing Galopin des Champs, and I'd say, like, hand on heart, I'd say probably the most likely winner is Galopin des Champs here. If I'm not CEO, I'm at least sort of maybe one of the founding members of the Galopin des Champs Club. I was a backer of him for the Martin Pipe. I was really sort of like confident in him going into that race, and he's delivered ever since, really. And I was absolutely heartbroken when he fell at the Cheltenham Festival last season. So I think he'll take all the beating here, as his price suggests. You Bob Ollinger scums, I tell you.
Look how that ended up. Grass is always greener, isn't it? For the Galopin des Champs fan club. Look what's happened to Bob, and look what's happened to Galopin. It's just we can have our day in the sun in March. But.
Poor Bob, but yeah, no, it's a no bet race for me. It's probably not one of the strongest renewals of the race we've ever had. So we'll keep it quick, and I'd say Galopin des Champs. I just like to see him put in a really nice performance at the Gold Cup. Although he'll take on my Gold Cup fancy Conflated potentially in that race, so we'll see how that goes. The Grade 2 Future Stars Flat Race is the race we'll finish with, over 2 miles, and Facile Mode for Thomas Mullins, 3-1 topping the market. Better Days Ahead for Gordon Elliott at 7-2. Chosen Witness 5-1. Fact to File 7s. And Harry. I have a fancy in this one. I have one at a bigger price, and I know you may not be too confident on this, but he's survived the 5-day forfeit stage, so everything seems like he's going to be going this way. And a dream to share at 20-1 now, as I see on my screen, not 10-1. William Hill have opened up at 20-1. So if we get this video out in time, all the other firms were 10-1 about him. He's 20-1 with William Hill. I think a dream to share. The 5-year-old in here, carrying 12 stone. I think he's a right chance now. Look, he looked really smart back in June now at Roscommon. I thought he won really nicely. He was priced accordingly. He was a 9-2 on favourite. But if you go back and watch that race, you think there's no chance of him winning. But just the turn of foot he shows once, who is riding now, Mr. J.L. Gleeson was riding in that day. Once he started to pick up the bit, he really travelled on nicely around the outside at Roscommon. Before that, he was a winner at Tipperary. That was a nice win as well. I thought both his bumper victories were simply really impressive. He's run to RPRs of 1-3, 1-1-3, 1-1-4. Maybe not as strong as potentially some of the RPRs elsewhere in this race, but I think a dream to share. It's going to be his first run back, 235 days. It'd be interesting to see whether he gets declared, because they might want to sort of, if they're keeping him in bumpers this season, they might want to go to an easier bumper potentially after Christmas. But yeah, I'd be with a dream to share currently at 20-1. I think it's a middling sort of year for the bumper horses. There's nothing really sort of setting that standard. All these horses that have been, tipped up, Better Days Ahead, King of Kingsfield, that Willie Mullins horse as well. They're all sort of just like, muddling about a bit. There's nothing really there. I'm not going to say that A Dream to Share is one of these horses that's going to stamp his authority on it, but I think in a year where the bumper isn't sort of Facile Vega style, I think he's got a real chance here. Sorry?
Facile Vega.
Yeah, you
quick one on this, Ash. Like, people keep going on saying we're waiting for the next Facile Vega to come out for the bumper, but in reality, compared to last season, it's been like it just this. Excuse my French, but the standard has been relatively poorer. And the horses beating each other. It will make for a fascinating renewal in March. But for horses taking on next year, you haven't got the likes of Skerhard and Kilcrut at the time when they were going at it in Hammer and Tongues in that bumper year. We haven't seen a start yet. We just haven't. Facile Mode could be the one. He's the one I'd say he's got the most potential. I mean, he's beat a few of these already. So if you're a racing purist, you want to see Facile Mode come out and probably dot up and stamp his authority, because I mean, what was the
Isaac Desobo?
What was the horse that came out and was it I Will Do It?
I will find. I'll get that for you now. But do talk.
Yeah, find that. But like, he won probably a mediocre bumper, and he's gone from 20s into 4s. Now, that's just the only thing we've seen. So you're probably looking at that and saying that could be the biggest banker of the festival, because no one else has proved that they're actually as good as him. So for me, I'm disappointed with the standard of the bumper horses this year. It happens, it does happen. But you'd like to see, if you're looking for a purist, Facile Mode has got to be winning here to at least spark a little bit of fight in that division this year, man.
It's for me, one at Navan. It's for me. Yeah, you were close.
I will do it with
that was the Warren. That was the classic chase winner. I was like, God, I swear I recognise that name. That must be correct.
I think it was on the same weekend, wasn't it? So I think
there might have been a weekend apart. I think there might have been a weekend apart, but yeah, no, you were close with the eye. That's all you were close on, really. There. We move on to the Sunday of the Dublin Racing Festival. We kind of unfortunately sided with the favourites slightly there, but I've given a 10-1 there in the final race. It's looking like it could be one of those weekends again, as it was last year. If you remember, there's a lot of accumulators going on the final day for the short price horses, and it starts in the Ladbrokes Novice Chase, the 2 mile 5 race, and Mighty Potter tops the market 9-4. James de Burley 7-2. Gaillard de Mainil 5-1. Now, would you be interested with this entry when he's obviously ante-post favourite for the National Hunt Chase? El Fabiolo is still in there now for the Ladbrokes Novice Chase, so that's quite interesting at the 5-day forfeit stage. The price has tumbled on him 16s into 6s. They could be thinking about going this way with him. Jerry Colomb 6s, Journey with Me 8s. Careful what you like about the rest. Harry, now Mighty Potter. We were stood there, Punchestown Festival, when he won. I was absolutely over the moon there, and my love affair has continued onwards from there. It started long before there, and it continues to the Sunday now, the Dublin Racing Festival. Is Mighty Potter 9-4 a good bet in your opinion?
He is if you fancy him. But
do you fancy him? Do you fancy that's like oh yeah, no, I think Facile Vega, I think he's a good bet if you fancy him, but I personally don't.
No, it's for me, Ash. I'll tell the honest truth. I've never backed the horse once. I've never backed him once. I've just got to linger. You know when you just get that lingering feeling like today could be the day he gets beat. He just hasn't. Like since he went over fence, he just hasn't. He's ran 8 times and he's won 6. You backed him at 20-1 at Punchestown when he backs and he does.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So at least we've actually on this channel we've had Facile Vega at 20-1. We've had Mighty Potter at 20-1. Now where's your tattoo? Where is your tattoo with Mighty Potter?
I'm not silly, unfortunately, Harry. I'm not silly like you.
That is fair enough. But no, for me, I'm gonna put one against the favourite here, and I really like James de Burley. I think this 2 mile 5 will suit him, but I think it'd be better over the 3 mile trip. Would you back him for the Brown Advisory? I think he's 11-2. Probably not. So if you fancy him, I'd probably back him now. I think he'll stay really well. He won by 15 lengths last time. He couldn't have done anything wrong. But I just think that he'd be crying out for an extended distance. And the 3 mile, I think, in the Festival of March will definitely be up to the street. Tell you who is interested in here, Guy Dominiel. I just can't, for the life of me, I can't see why they don't go to the Brown Advisory. If James de Burley doesn't go, I don't know why they don't send him there. I think he'd be an absolute good thing for it. So going to hold an interesting one, because obviously he's obviously not in this race, but he's obviously entered for the. Well, I think Willie was going on about the 3 miler at Cheltenham, which is a little bit bizarre seeing him last week. Mighty Potter, listen, he's been good. He was really good at. He beat Guy Dominiel, didn't he? By I think it was 4 lengths in the end. Guy Dominiel seemed to kind of stay on towards the end. Now Leopardstown will suit the latter more than Mighty Potter. I'd say Mighty Potter won't be stopping at the end. Don't get me wrong, but for me at the prices, I think James de Burley is a little overpriced at 10-3, and I think he could be a very big threat to Mighty Potter.
God, I think this is the first time we might clash on this one, because I think James de Burley is correctly priced, if not a touch short, in my opinion. Now, everyone knows where I stand on this horse. I backed him for the Brown Advisory. I think he's a Brown Advisory horse, and I do agree with you on that one. So he's going obviously to 2.5. I think he just could get done for speed. Like, he wasn't short of gears when he beat Capilano Bridge. He wasn't short. But I think Mighty Potter here is just going to take absolutely all the beating. And it's like Christmas. And I think Andy Cummins put up a tweet here. If you're a Mighty Potter fan at 7-2 for the Turners at the Cheltenham Festival, this must be like Christmas seeing 9-4 about Mighty Potter here. And I have to agree with you there, Andy, because you're getting 9-4 about this horse over sort of a bigger distance there. And I think Mighty Potter, 9-4. I absolutely love this horse. Everyone knows where I stand on him. He gets better as he improves in distance. We'll see him, hopefully, fingers crossed, all going well in the Open Company next year. He could be going out to 3 miles. He'd have that 3 mile range in him, I'd say. But he also has the gears to go out to 2 miles. I think Mighty Potter is a really, really, really smart animal, and he'd probably be my best bet of the weekend. Yeah, Mighty Potter, I'll be backing him 9-4. I don't really see much else getting into it. I'd say maybe an interesting one, as Jerry Colon was very nice the last day to be adamantly chosen.
Oh no, he needs one bash. He needs an absolute box.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think it's interesting if he does handle the ground, but maybe he doesn't. He has one on yielding to beat Ida's boy, Turlers, back in January. But I haven't really looked elsewhere. I've kind of had the blinkers on Mighty Potter, and I'm going to remain with the blinkers on Mighty Potter. The Grade 1 Dublin Chase, we'll move on to it. It's the next race we're going to be covering. It is over 2 mile 1, the 210 at Leopardstown, and Blue Lord top of the market, 11-4, the same price actually as Galopin de Champs in the Irish Gold Cup the day before. Gentleman doesn't me 6s. So Royale, you have a British running the graded races. There he is. Knew he was there. 8-1 for Alan Kingdom. Vegan for 16-1, and Fast or Slow 50-1. Harry, you're a Blue Lord fan for both the Champion Chase and the Ryanair, so I'll let you have the floor talking about Blue Lord for this race.
Right. Well, first question is, you told me it was a silly thing to put Blue Lord up for the Champion Chase. Now, after the weekend, is that a silly bet? What was it, 7-1?
It was, yes, it was. I didn't say it was a silly bet now. I didn't say it was a silly bet about the Champion Chase. What I said was that putting... Yes, that's what I would say. But it could work out for you in the end because you have backed the one non-runner money back. So I have to give you that. But that's all I said. I thought, 7-1, not bad.
Yeah, well, I just think, like, especially when I seen Energamy being... I mean, he was after this... I thought he was beat at the second last time I did. Never mind the last one, he absolutely blundered. But when I was seeing that, and when Edwardstone was being headed by Editor Digit on the running, I was thinking... Well, I completely agree with Johnny Deneen. I can't have Editor Digit winning the Champion Chase. I mean, come on. I do think Blue Lord will reverse the Arkle form with Edwardstone. So then it leads you Energumene and Blue Lord. This is in my opinion. This is how I read the race. And Energumene was absolutely tonked at the weekend. Blue Lord has done absolutely nothing wrong, and it's probably his best performance to date in his career was probably last time out. No, I thought he was seriously impressive. If he can't win this on Saturday or Sunday, I will be absolutely sick, because this looks like the biggest shoe-in since Denman. He looks like an absolute good thing in this. And
when was Denman a shoe-in? Name the race.
When Harry put his money down, he was a shoe-in, wasn't he? Really, there was no way that the thing was going to beat. Well, just if you can't win this, you'd be absolutely sick. I think, was he 3s on? Something like that?
Yes.
Yeah, yes. It's just, well, says it all, doesn't it, in the price. Add him to your rackers. He should do. If you can't be gentle to me, he's been poor this year, I'd say. I think 11 to 2 is probably the worst price I've seen. I'd probably have So Royal over him, to be honest. I mean, he's 11 years old, but he just keeps running his race. He was over hurdles last time, wasn't he? In the fight, not the fighting fifth. It was at Kempton, wasn't it?
I'll sort this out for you because I've got the screen up right here. If I just hover over where he was last seen, the Christmas hurdle.
Yeah,
Christmas hurdle.
Christmas hurdle, yeah. And I mean, he's very good on his day. He was in that thrilling finish between Altior and Politolog when those two were going at it in their champion chase days. He could be. I wouldn't say he's overpriced at 7 to 1. I'd be probably a little bit short, but if you're playing a match bet in this, I'd probably say So Royal to beat Gentleman to Me. And if you're playing the forecast, I'd probably have the double greens. It'd be a good day for Simon and Isaac Swade, wouldn't it?
Yes, it probably will be. No opinion on this race completely because Blue Lord most probably wins. Can I just say it's very interesting now? And I'm not saying I'm absolutely not.
Is there for the champion chase now?
No. What's interesting about this specific race, the Dublin Chase, is just one entry in my eyes. Just one entry that interests me. Now, I'm not saying he's going to win. I'm not saying he's going to place. I'm saying this for later in the season, actually. I'm saying that Fast or Slow is just like no. Before you. I'm saying he's an interesting entry because if you look through his form when he's been with Martin Brazil over in Ireland, but he has run in the UK, he hasn't raced over fences before. And his first actual chase race was at Punchestown in the John Durkan Memorial Punchestown in a Grade 1. Now, before that, his actual first chase run in France was at Auteuil, where he won the pre-weather permitting chase. So that could be a typo there, but that's what it says on my screen. So he's won a chase over in France, over 2 mile on very soft. So he's obviously had the experience there. He's finished 5th or 6th in the John Durkan, and he's now chucked right back in to a Grade 1. Now, I don't know what Martin Brazilian Connections are doing with this horse. Are they just running him in races where the prize money is nice?
So if he Fast or Slow beats Blue Lord in this, I will never
ever
my life.
No, I'm not saying he's going to beat Blue Lord. I'm saying that it's an interesting that he's going for this Grade 1. I know it's only 5 entries in there, so if he gets round safe and sound and it's the full 5 that stand, he gets £3,000. So that's probably why they've done it. But I think it's just really interesting. And like, if they get him handicapped well enough, like because they're only Grade 1, he's getting absolutely tonked each time. He'll get a rating in what you'd say the 140s potentially. And he was second to Commander of Fleet by a short head in the Coral Cup when I think I backed him that day actually, and he was second to Camprond at Punchestown Festival the next time out. So I'd say he's really interesting if he gets down to one of these handicap chases. It may not be Cheltenham because it might just be a bit time to get him a mark, unless the Irish or British handicapper assess him. But I want to say he wants a 3rd run in this jurisdiction to get a mark. And if he gets a mark in the 140s, like there could be a nice chase at Punchestown for him. Now this will be the 31st of January. If he ends up winning a handicap chase at Punchestown Festival or Cheltenham Festival, but probably more likely Punchestown, this will be clipped up. So. But if he doesn't, I look like a mug. Anyway, that was just my.
It'll be clipped up.
It will be clipped up. No, it was just like my sort of interest got perked at that one. I'll say that way. Anyway, the next race, 3:10 on Sunday, the Grade 1 Irish Champion Hurdle, and it could be the final time we see Honeysuckle on a track. It could not be. We could see her go to the Champion Hurdle, but it could be the final time we see her because she takes on State Man from Willie Mullins, 5 to 4 there for him. Honeysuckle there is just at 2-1 on my screen for Henry's Bromhead. The form has worked out from the Hatton's Grace. As much as you can say that she was potentially a little bit disappointing, but the form has worked out with Tiupu there over probably a wrong distance there at 2-1. Vauban 10-3, very interesting interview of Rich Rishi in the week saying that Vauban's probably not at the level to beat State Man yet. Pied Piper 33, Zanahir 50s, and you can have what you like about the 250-1 shot. Harry, will you be backing Honeysuckle? Can you see Honeysuckle returning to her glory and getting back up here in the Irish Champion Hurdle?
Yeah, I don't see any reason why not. I mean, you can argue that her run last time in the Hatton's Grace was probably one of the best runs on seasonal outings. She got beat by 2 proper stayers in Classical Dream and Tiupu. Tiupu's Frank Laforme winning over 3 miles. It looked hard testing ground, I thought, in the Hatton's Grace. Probably not as what Honeysuckle would really like to see her to the best ability, but she's always proved she's better on her next start. She always has. I mean, her record speaks for itself. I mean, she knows how to win. She's got the kick. And usually, Johnny Deneen, I again mentioned him, he made a really good point on today's Up in the Ante show. When the money goes down for Honeysuckle, it's very, very rarely wrong. Now, she was smashed in the champion hurdles twice, in the mare's hurdle.
Her first time was like massive. Like she was, what was she like? She was a big price in the morning, like as in like
she was 4s, wasn't she, in the morning?
Yeah, and then she went off 11-10. You know, massive.
Silly, and she absolutely bolted in. And now listen, she's 7-4 now, and I think she was around 11-4 ante-post. So I think she's got a massive chance. Now State Man has done nothing wrong. He's a proper Grade 1 horse. If he would have won that handicap at Cheltenham, if they'd have got that beat somehow, then you'd have been looking like, what the hell is going on here? He's done nothing wrong. State Man, Vauban is interesting. Actually, I don't know whether to you it seemed like people were hyping Vauban up more than what it probably deserved. He had every chance to close on State Man. I just don't think he did. I wasn't as impressed by it as what other people were. Now I'm happy to be proven wrong if Vauban goes and wins, but I think the mare she's so good. She is so good. So yeah, Honeysuckle for me, mate.
Yeah, no, I'd say now I'd be in the Honeysuckle camp as well. Just to go through Honeysuckle sort of like seasonal reappearances, as Harry's mentioned, there is sort of an interesting point to pick up on. So back in 2019, she ran the 2.5 mile hurdle race at Fairy House, ran to an RPR of 155 to be easy game. That was the season she won the mare's hurdle. Then 2020, she beat Ronald Pump by half a length. That was running to an RPR of 152. Then won her first champion hurdle. Then in 2021, she beat Ronald Pump by 8 lengths, running to an RPR of 160, which is her second best that season. And then obviously she's lost in the Hatton's Grace this year. Yeah, I'd say I'd be in Honeysuckle's camp, but it'd be marginal. It's only because, and I have stated this, I've just not been like just oversold now on State Man. Like his run at Punchestown in the Morgiana was a Grade 1, it's a Grade 1 first time up, fair play. But I just wasn't sold by his jump here. I wasn't sold by how he moved through the race. And he's beaten Vauban fairly well in the Mafson hurdle. But again, I just wasn't like, it wasn't like fizzing. It wasn't like, wow, this horse is electric. Like, I think he's a really good horse now. I think he's a good horse, but I just wasn't really sort of sold to that level on State Man. And then you got Honeysuckle, who was unbeaten, a countless amount of times, 2-time champion hurdle winner, a mare's hurdle winner, running over probably her worst trip the last time, and now she returns to a race where she's got a prolific record in. I'd say I'll be in the Honeysuckle camp now at 2-1. Vauban, I see that case. There's a lot of people sort of hyping him up. I was probably one of them. I said he was the one to take out, but again, he's 5. He's always going to be improving. So it'd be interesting to see how he improves that rate. And I suppose the same goes for State Man. He's only just turned 6, so it'd be interesting to see how his improvement goes. He's got, all being well, plenty of years left with him. But Honeysuckle, I'd be siding with currently for the Irish Champion Hurdle, but it wouldn't be one of my stronger fancies by the week at all. The final Grade 1 race we're going to be covering, the Grade 1 Tattersalls Island Novice Hurdle, and Facile Vega returns, Harry. The horse everyone's trying to get beat, 2-5, Facile Vega top in the market. Gaelic Warrior, 7-1 for Willie Mullins. Now, does he turn up here? Does he go to the handicap? not too sure as of yet. There's the Liffey handicap hurdle I want about there. High definition 8-1 for Joseph O'Brien. He's going to be seen for the first time since his Boxing Day maiden hurdle victory. Dark Raven 10s, Ilete Tomps 10s in the pocket 10s, and Irish Point 10s. Harry, Facile Vega wins, doesn't he?
Well, if he doesn't, I'll be absolutely sick, Ash. Simple as high definition. I'm still convinced the horse needs 5 miles. I'll stick on that boat as long as it takes me. We're still sailing away. I wasn't that taken by his maiden hurdle win. Listen, he won by 4.5 lengths. It was good. He kicked on. He was at it for a long way out, I thought, which is good for me. I think he probably needs further in trip. I think he'll be found out by Facile. I think he'll just destroy him. Gaelic Warrior. Now, this might sound a little bit harsh, but I just think his race planning is just weird. It's just like
I think it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant.
I don't get it. Like what are they trying to achieve with the horse? What I don't get it, because his campaign last year was weird enough as it was. He went for the handicap.
He went first time out in the Boodles, didn't he? No.
Yeah, and he nearly came off, and now he's running 2 absolute egg and spoon races. He's dotted up in both. We don't know how good he is. He's officially rated 143, so on official ratings, he's got £10 to find on Facile Vega. My initial instinct is there's probably not £10 between them. I'd say it's closer, but I think Facile Vega. If you were to go to Willie Mullins' horse and say, I think if you were to go to Willie's and say which one's your best horse and which one's your most exciting, I don't think it's a Gaelic Warrior. Facile is the most exciting horse in training in my eyes, barring Constitution Hill. So I tell you what, who's overpriced in the pocket. If he goes, I think he's very interesting. He's done nothing wrong. I think he's one of those ones, especially at Leopardstown. You want horses to be finishing the race strong, and he will. So. Facile Vega at 2-5. Would I be going in on it? Yes, I will.
Just interestingly, you say sort of like the race planning of Gaelic Warrior. Obviously, he is entered for the Liffey handicap hurdle at Leopardstown as well there. So it could be interesting if he goes there. He's a 2-1 favourite currently, and that's the race after where this Facile Vega race. The winner gets €88,500 in the Liffey handicap hurdle, the same winning prize money as they get in the Tattersalls Island novice hurdle. So if you're thinking sort of financially from a Willie Mullins perspective or from Connections perspective, I know they've got plenty of money about them. They're not exactly scratching around the back of the sofa, but they could feasibly and quite sort of easily, I'd say, pick up 2 pots here of 88,500, and Gaelic Warrior for marker 143 when the next in the handicap is 142 Iker Allen in that Liffey handicap hurdle. Like you'd say, who wins on level weights there? It's Gaelic Warrior. 10 days and a Saturday. I'd say. I don't really have too much opinion on this. What is interesting for me is Irish Point. Obviously, they sort of said they're potentially going down the Supreme route with him rather than going for the Ballyball, which is where I thought initially they might go to. It'd be interesting to see if Irish Point travels strongly into this race and just gets done for speed. Like if that happens, then potentially they might sort of rethink their thoughts and go to the Ballyball, which in all fairness to me would probably be perfect. It would be perfect sort of thoughts for me. 10-1. He's got plenty of speed now. He showed plenty of gears. When he finished second to Marine National in the Bar 1 racing Royal Bond. So I'd say he's an interesting run at 10-1. I'd probably have him above the few ahead of him in the market. Dark Raven, another one interesting. I said he could go to the Ballymore. I think the comments from Brian Hayes were saying that they could go to the Ballymore with him at 33-1. So yeah, it's interesting to see. I don't have an opinion on this. Facile Vega probably wins, but I think it'd be interesting.
Ash,
yes.
You're Paul Turnant.
Yes.
You're going to be on Facile Vega, aren't you?
Oh yeah.
What would you do? Like how does the race plan out for you? High definition, he was prominent last time. It looked a struggle for him to be prominent last time out because I don't think he could go the clip, but it was an absolute egg and spoon main hurdle. So what would you do with Facile Vega?
Now, in my extensive time,
Your riding
in,
career.
in my extensive time in the saddle, where I've been on a pony from a young age, of probably about 2 days, I was on a pony for, and then I decided not to get on again, and pretending to be AP McCoy on the side of the sofa. I would look. I haven't extensively looked into the race, to be honest, for pace angles. I mean, I know there was the thought that with a lead, Facile Vega could look better than what he was when Ilete Tom got within 4 lengths of him the last day. Like, there was the sort of angle with that. If he gets a lead into the race, then yeah, fair enough. I'd say if he's good enough, he can win however sort of he wants. And if he's sort of touted to this level, he can win however he wants. You know, like Paul Townend wouldn't want to be switching him off too much now, but I'd say sit him in midfield, sit him 4 back, 3 back. I'd say they'd have no issue with him, to be honest. I'd say the riding tactics wouldn't be the issue if he loses. I'd say there'd be sort of something there, but I would say it wouldn't be the riding tactics. And it'd be interesting. I think it's obviously going to be his hottest field that he's going to be facing, and I'm actually quite excited for this race to see how Facile Vega will perform under a little bit of pressure. The final race, Harry, we're going to cover is the final race of the weekend, the Grade 2 Irish EBF Mares Flat Race. Obviously, last year was the sort of the infamous all these Accas rolling onto Pink in the Park. I managed to get on at the last bus stop, tried to back Pink in the Park to save my day, and that went really well. She finished, I think, 4th. Fancy Girl top in the market for Willie Mullins, 11-8. Got Lily DeBurle in there at 4s, Bold Reflection 7s. Fun for Willie Mullins in there at 7s as well. Harry, do you have one for the Mares bumper?
I do, and it's the winner of last year's race, Lily DeBurle. I can't believe she's 72 or something like that.
I can't believe she's still in bumpers. Can I say? I don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
It is crazy. I mean, fancy girls in there for Mullins. I mean, it's inevitable, really. You have a Mullins horse in a bumper, it's going to be relatively short, isn't it? But I mean, you look at the form of the race from last year. I mean, Ashrow Diamond was in 4th, Pink in the Park. I mean, you can argue Pink in the Park hasn't really been as impressive as what she looked when she won at Listowel that first time out, when she absolutely dotted up. Liberty Dancers in there in 3rd, and she just battled on really well. Now, she's going to have to give a couple of pounds away for that success. I think she's carrying will be carrying top weight, but I just think she's a massive price. And if she went to like an each way price, for an each way perspective, she is the muggiest each way play that you could have, because I can't see it being
yes. Oh, no, I lost you there. I've lost it. Carry on.
Can you hear me? All good. So yeah, Lily DeBurle, keep it nice and simple, 4-1. The Crawfords are in good nick, and listen, it could be a really good Sunday for the double green, and I hope it is, because if Blue Lord goes in, I think the Champers will be flying, and especially Lily DeBurle if she goes in the finale.
I just lost you in my ears there. That's why I thought you just stopped talking. You sort of put me on the spot. That was nothing to be alarmed at. I'd say the one sort of interesting for me, if you're looking at a price angle, Fancy Girl tops the market, obviously 11-8. The horse in second that day, Ascending Lark. Now, really interesting runner here for Elizabeth Ann Layla. Very interesting runner here. If you actually look at the race the last day, Fancy Girl's on the inside, Ascending Lark is sort of in the middle of the track, potentially trying to find the better ground at Cork because it was softer heavy officially. And she's gone really well through the race. Like, she's gone really well. It's not like she's been absolutely battered out of the park by Fancy Girl. And there was a difference of 2 lengths, but she's battled on really well. She's shown a good turn of foot, I thought, and she was staying on the line. And I just think it's quite mad the price difference here. 16-1 to 11-8. I think it's quite a bit of an interesting price difference when you've got that one sort of really, really short top of the market, and then you've got 16-1 about her. So I'd say if I was to play one in the race, which I haven't looked at extensively at, I'd say Ascending Lark, personally for me, would be the one
only 2 lengths
I'd be starting with.
Yeah,
and she's staying on, and potentially the ground wasn't to her. That's probably why they've tried to find the better ground on the inside of the track.
Well,
the ground maybe. But like as of the last day, it was on soft and heavy. Potentially, she wants that sort of better, like the springiest ground, and it looks like it could be that at Leopardstown. If that's the case, putting the sort of dots together in my mind, 16-1 could be rather overpriced. Harry, I'm going to go other weekend bets while I have time to find my Word document with my other weekend bets. Do you have any? If not, what would be your better bets from the Dublin Racing Festival?
Listen, this weekend is all about the Muggy Accas, and at 12:35 on Sandown, the biggest certainty since Denman and Galopin de Champs.
No, stop saying it.
they're chasing fire for the Ollie Murphy team. They're rerouting here, which is no surprise, obviously, because Haydock was called off last week. I thought he'd have a massive chance in that. And looking at Pembroke ran the other day, I think he'd have won. He's a proper horse. Me and you were there, Ash, at Ollie's, and they couldn't get enough of this horse, could they? They said he was potentially the next best thing they've got. So he's only a 6-year-old. He's won by about 25 lengths every single time. He's done nothing wrong. Point winner. I think he'll relish it. And obviously, Ollie had a Sandown winner. I can't remember I want to say it's a horse called Gunsight Ridge that won at Sandown for the same owners and stuff. So he does target Sandown. He does really well with his smart type. So for me, put him in your accas. He's the class act, and he will not be beaten.
Well, we don't know what the prices are yet, and we don't know who's.
Fives
on. He won't be beaten 5s on. I'd say the one for me currently with the prices, actually priced on my screen, the 330 at Sandown, the Virgin Bet Masters handicap chase, 20 currently entered with a maximum field of 18 potential. Another one who's rerouting, who was sort of affected by the ground and the call-offs in the previous weeks, Empire Steel. Now, if I remember correctly, he was entered and was going to go for the Peter Marsh. Obviously, that race didn't go ahead at Haydock because the ground was frosted over. But I'd say he has a really nice chance now for marker 143 for Sandy Thompson. He was, where am I going back to now? Second at Kelso, 2 starts go to Potterman, run to an RPR of 152. That was on good ground there. So if they get sort of the softer ground at Sandown, that might be sort of interesting to see how he goes. But it is good to soft currently. There is no rain in the air, throughout the week. And he's kept on nicely behind Potterman. He's a really nice horse. And he ran to an RPR of 152 that day. Going back one more, he's bolted up at Kelso by 16 lengths of a marker 139. 2 starts before that, he was travelling like the winner in the Roland Merrick 2021, but fell at the 4th last, and the race was won by good boy Bobby. I think I mentioned this when I made the case for this horse for the Peter Marsh. Someone commented saying, "Thank you for reminding me of that. I was on Empire Steel that day." So it looked like he was going to win the Roland Merrick Weatherby back in 2021, but fell. That was a marker 141. Before that was second is Strictly a Dancer, a really nice horse with Christian Williams at Haydock in a handicap chase. So I just think he's really well handicapped. I think there's plenty to come from his marker 143. I think he's a really, really nice horse. And Empire Steel, 14-1. They get the sort of nice ground. That should be no issue for him, but he's won on heavy before, so that wouldn't be an issue as well. And it'd be interesting to see how he goes at 14-1. And I'd say the 110, there's no prices as I see on my screen. Sorry, not the 110, the 145, no prices as I see on my screen. The handicap chase over 2 miles. Had a Dozo Bow for Gary Moore. Now, I said this horse was probably one to watch after his Warwick win, be given £10. So he will obviously be a live contender and probably shorts in the market. The 2 I think are probably holding strong claims, though, who could be quite well handicapped here, are Shake 'em Up Harry and Red Rookie. Now, Shake 'em Up Harry has got a nice form going back with Amarillo Sky. The last day, beat Tile Tapper 2 starts ago. And again, if they want to be looking at a handicap chase potentially at the Cheltenham Festival, they might just want to be getting a few extra pounds ahead of that. Excuse me. But Red Rookie is the most interesting one for me.
Your love for Red Rookie just keeps going on. You backed because he's in the Arkle, was it? In the Arkle, was it in the Arkle when he
No, I don't think I backed him. I think I just sort of watching brief on him. I backed him the last day at Chepstow behind Fugitive, and just didn't go for him that day, unfortunately. Potentially softer ground.
He got beat by Martin Keatley's Witness Protection.
Witness Protection, yes, he did. 3rd of November.
Look at that for knowledge. Now, Witness Protection. Next time, this is for everyone listening to this. Next time he runs at Chepstow, he will win. He is. He had a lovely pipe opener at Weatherby. When he goes to Chepstow, he'll win. So, hey, Ash, got a question for you. The Sunny Isles is obviously on Saturday as well.
Grade 1.
The Jerry Colom's entered 2-1. Will he go?
Seems like comments are saying, yeah, he will. I think Gordon Elliott went on the Nick Luck podcast and said about
Well,
Joe
he's
Plum
good
going
to
to
soft,
Sandown.
so he's delaying the meeting. So
No, lay of the meeting hasn't. I can guarantee you've actually looked at that page for about 23 seconds. I can guarantee you've looked. That's the maximum time you've looked at that race. You've got lay of the meeting. Here it is.
Well, no, Thunder Rock's in there. I actually looked at my tracker and I seen that he was entered, and I just looked at the rest of the card. Like Balco Coastal, he looks like a good handicapper. Monreal hasn't taken the fences in my eyes, and Thunder Rock at 72 at the prices. He's looked a very classy animal. So
I think potentially you might want a bit of a step up in trip in my eyes.
yeah,
For about 3
you'd say that.
miles.
Sandown as well. You're looking at Sandown.
Yeah.
Test the stamina, the two extended 2 mile 4. So anyway, this is 59.48, so we best end it now.
Yes, Red Rookie. Yeah, that'll be my one for that race, I think. Very interesting. They went to the Arkle rather than go to the Grand Annual for Market 138 with him. I know he's a novice, and novices should run in the novice races, but they could have very much viably gone for the Grand Annual and had a very good chance of 138, and they run off 138 now. Done. That is all we got time for. Dublin Racing Festival preview. If you did enjoy, please do like and subscribe. As I said at the start of the video, we got 100 likes on our last video, so thank you very much for that. You can smash the like button.
Let's get 125. 125.
Get 125. Aim for 125. Thank you very much, and that'd be brilliant as well. Keep the subscriptions coming in as well. We're rising towards 600 subscribers, so if we can get that in the next couple of weeks ahead of the Cheltenham Festival, that would also be very much appreciated. Please do follow us on Twitter: A Simmons Journo, Harry Beard 7, Racing Lee 1, and the Only Fools Love Horses account on Twitter. We'll be back on Saturday, 10:30 a.m. for our preview of the Dublin Racing Festival. I'll be in Dublin, so I'll find a way to do that. It might be 10:30, it might be 9:30. We'll sort something out for that.
There's no excuses for you. I did it, and I was steaming. I was back on the lash when back on the lash one. So listen, it 9:30, and I had my first Irish coffee, and I listened. I don't know how they do it.
And Harry is also the biggest lightweight I know. Just go back to the November meeting of the Cheltenham Festival. Go find some videos on Twitter. You'll see Harry throwing up in a skip somewhere. Anyway, we'll be back on Saturday for the Saturday Live previewing our final thoughts for the Dublin Racing Festival, and we'll be back Monday morning for the 5th episode of our ante-post series. Make sure to go check them out. If you haven't already, please do like and subscribe. Follow us all on Twitter, and have a good